When it comes to
Hi, welcome to Beyond Today for Tomorrow. I'm your host, Valerie. And tonight we're going to have a little chit chat about a topic that has become near and dear to me. A topic that I think I used to take for granted until it became real, and it's healthcare. You know, what helps us be us and live our best lives is the thing that can also put a damper on our best life. Health and wellness is something that we often take for granted, seriously. We oftentimes ignore doctor visits, reschedule, don't take our medication like we should, don't eat the right food that we should, don't work out like we should, and we don't pay attention until things get real. I recently had that surreal moment. I went in for what I thought would be just a normal thyroidectomy, only to find out a week later that I had thyroid cancer. And I don't care who you are. You are never prepared for your doctor to call you with that diagnosis. You're not prepared. There's nothing you could have said during your treatment. There's nothing you could have done. It is something that just happens, quite frankly, to the best of us, regardless of how healthy we are, regardless of all the right things that we do, regardless of all the screenings that we do. We end up facing situations and challenges that we're, quite frankly, not prepared for. With this YouTube channel, I want to share my journey. I want to share the life lessons and experiences I learned being a mom and a caretaker. My son, when he was 7 years old, was diagnosed with epilepsy and autism. That was a curveball that life threw me that totally was not prepared for. At a time when, quite frankly, doctors were still figuring what it meant to be autistic out. Then, as I'm thinking that I got everything under control with my son, then I find out my dad has an aggressive form of prostate cancer. Did he get his screenings? I don't know. Did he go to get his yearly physicals? I don't know. You get in situations in life where you're going to be asked and presented with questions that you're not going to have the answers to. You're going to be put in situations that you wish you had a support system there for you, but you may not. And you're going to need help. And the one thing that I have learned through all of my roles that I have played is how to ask questions, how to find help, how to speak up for myself and become an advocate like nobody's business. Because in reality, there are some medical conditions that place you in your own personal David versus Goliath. We don't like to admit it. We don't like to talk about it, but we need to talk about it. We need to have real conversations that prepare us for our life, to live our best life, because our health is our wealth. You can accumulate all the monetary means known to man, but when you go into that doctor's office, it's one-on-one. And it's going to matter who is on the other side of that desk talking to you. Because believe it or not, healthcare, like any profession, in the world has its good side and its bad side. And unfortunately, I've seen both. So I'm doing something that I hardly ever do. I hardly ever am so transparent about my life and my life's experiences that I open up and put myself and my family's business on blast to help somebody else. Because ultimately, that's what I hope this show does for you. I hope it helps you. I hope you learn something from it. But let me be honest, I am not a licensed healthcare professional. Although I have an MBA, I have no desire to study any medical studies at all. So I am not a licensed practitioner. I'm not a licensed counselor, psychiatrist, none of the above. But as I've said earlier, I am a mother. I am a daughter, and I am me. And I've had to learn on the fly how to be and how to respond in each role that I've been presented in. So, if I still have your attention, which I hope I do, sit back, get your cocktails ready, and let's chat. We're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, you're going to learn more about my story.
Hey, yo, it's going to be a hot summer, because we back at it, man. It all goes down June 17th, the Arlington Improv, hosted by me, Michael Sean. Who the else you thought was gonna host it? It's my show, man, and starring Rudy Rush, CJ Starr, your TikTok celebrity, my girl Lustrous Barbie, and the comedian Q, who just got married. Congratulations, homie. Now get your tickets, 817-635-5555, or hit up improvtx.com/ is that a backslash? I think it's a backslash. Arlington. Or it can be real simple in your life if you tap the link in my bio. June 17th, the Arlington Improv, the Laugh Out Loud Comedy Show is back. It's going to be a hot summer. And it's all powered by the Breakfast Brothers. Yeah!
And we're back. So, the first bit of advice that I would like to give you is being in tune with your star player. I think Cat Williams says it in a way that we all can relate to. Shawnee, play the...
And you forget you got to please your star player, the motherfucker that's in the mirror looking at you every goddamn day. That need to be the motherfucker you concerned about. Nigga, how are you doing today? Nigga, fuck what they talking about.
So, I know he had a little extra profanity in there, but we're all human. But when he says be in tune with your star player, he means take self-care to a whole nother level. That means in the morning when you wake up and all of a sudden you have a catch in your back, a pain in your leg, your head has a headache and you can't quite stand up without getting dizzy. Hey, that's nothing to shake off. I have heard people joke about getting older. They're like, oh, when you turn over 40, all this happens and your body starts breaking down. That's not so. It's not supposed to be that way. So for people who tell themselves every day, oh, girl, this is just about getting older, or man, you can't do the same things you did. Yes, you can. Because I've seen healthy individuals well into their 70s and their 80s still living their best life, exercising, doing yoga, eating healthy, not waking up with aches and pain. So first sign of trouble, you know how to respond if you're in tune with yourself. If you know that you notice on every 3 days, if you maybe didn't get all your water in, that your feet seem a little tighter in your shoe, or if you wake up with a headache and you've only drank one glass of water, you have to remember dehydration can mask itself as other major health problems. I remember a few years ago, my son and I, we went to the State Fair of Texas. And that morning we had a packed day. We had went to the gym, worked out, went to the mall. I got my hair done. He walked around the mall, and then we went to the State Fair. And we're standing in line to get a Fletcher's hot dog or corn dog, whatever it is. But my legs started to hurt. My ankles started to hurt. I felt really, really weak. And I told my son, I was like, hey, I think we need to go to the car. I was like, let's just get this and let's just leave. And we made it to the car. Just so happens, security directed us out, got home, and I slept 9 hours. Not 5 hours, not 6 hours, 9 hours. And I still woke up exhausted. So I call my endocrinologist. Let me let you know. I do believe in leaving messages for my doctor. I do believe in sending emails, because you can't treat me unless I'm letting you know what I'm experiencing and how treatment is making me feel, right? And I tell her, I said, I think the thyroid medicine you gave me, I said, I don't think it's working. I said, I woke up, I was very tired. And I said, I just felt in pain and I barely made it to my car. She was like, that medicine shouldn't give you that side effect. She was like, but let me tell you what we'll do. Go get your blood work drawn and let me see what's going on. First of all, when you go to the doctor, if you don't know your numbers, because you don't follow up with your doctor once they take blood work, I'm stalking my doctor the next day. You have 24 to 48 hours to give me my results, or I'm stalking you. That's a reality that most people fail to realize, that if you don't follow up, your doctor's not going to remember to follow up, because at best, let's say a doctor has 500 to 1,000 patients, and this is just general physicians. These are not the specialty doctors. So I did the blood work. The lab called me, not my doctor, the lab. They said, you need to get somewhere and get some potassium right now. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think anything of it, because I had planned an event at work. And so I was there trying to handle everything and make sure everything went smoothly. This was at 7:50 that the lab called me. My doctor, not her nurse, but my endocrinologist at UT Southwestern, stopped her day and called me. And she said, Valerie, you either need to get to the ER or find these items that you need right now. She was like, your potassium is deadly low. Do you know low potassium can make you think you're having a heart attack? These are things that no one ever told me, never knew. Do you want to know what the culprit is? The culprit was? It wasn't that I suddenly developed a condition that was dumping potassium. It's that I was taking a medication that was lowering my potassium. Yeah. So I ended up having to go on bed rest for a week and take potassium, drink orange juice, eat bananas, and learn how to keep a potassium-rich diet. And then I started to feel a little better, but then I had a nodule on my left lobe. Now, when my son was 2 years old, I had my right half of my thyroid removed. I had a cyst, but they removed it, and he said, oh, you have your isthma, which is the bridge, in your left lobe. If it doesn't make enough hormone, we can put you on hormone replacement. And let me tell you, when I say it matters who's on your team, it matters who's on your team. Because the doctor that I was seeing at that time, she knew enough about thyroid conditions to treat general conditions, but she was not a specialist. And when I say it matters who's on your team, it matters. You cannot do Walmart one-stop shopping when it comes to your health. When it comes to your health, you're going to have to be okay with paying the money for the specialist, going to see the people who know more than your general family practitioner. You have to go through the process of getting those referrals, following up, and going through with the visit. Because here I was thinking that, oh, okay, they're just going to put me on a thyroid medicine. And they were like, no, you have another nodule. We're going to need to scan it, biopsy it. We need to see what's going on. So I went through a battery of tests. This was all back in 2018. Because even though I had my thyroid taken out, the right had taken out most of those years, when you see the wrong person, you get the wrong treatment. And when you get the wrong treatment, it costs you in time, money, and it could potentially cost your life. But before I even go there, I am adamant about not wasting my time. And unfortunately, I was in a situation going to the wrong doctor that I feel wasted precious years, because if I had been being treated by an endocrinologist, maybe I wouldn't have gotten the cancer diagnosis that I got, because I had what developed was multiple nodules that ended up being toxic, and that toxin was in my body. Was I doing anything extra? Nope. It was in my body, living and growing. So they do a biopsy. It was benign. They said, okay, let's do a thyroid uptake. It's where they give you a small radioactive iodine pill, and then you take it one day, but come back the next day and your thyroid blows up. They did that. Everything seemed stable. But instead of just thinking I had the one nodule, I found out that I had one that was 2 centimeters and one that was 1 centimeter. So I wasn't having trouble breathing. I wasn't having trouble swallowing. But the thing that signaled that something was wrong to the endocrinologist team was my TSH was suppressed. And your TSH should not be suppressed, because if it is, that means you have hyperthyroid. And it may seem cool that, it'll keep your weight down and, but sometimes you can lose too much weight, and then it's not a guarantee that you will lose weight, because technically my body was in hyperthyroid status and I still gained 20 pounds. So it doesn't matter. And you can go work out. You can eat right. You can do all the right things, and it still will not produce the desired results, because there's something going on in your body. So I'm telling the doctors I'm still not feeling good. And I'm like, are you listening to me? And I remember this one smart ass doctor, and I'm not going to put facilities or physicians on blast, because this is really not about them, but this is informative and to help individuals. For facilities and doctors that I feel have done an excellent job, yes, I will tell you their names, and hopefully you won't blow up their spot. But for the ones that I don't, that gave bad service, I won't mention their names. But he said there are people who have normal thyroids who feel bad. And I will say this, physicians need to get away from dismissing individuals when they tell you they're tired. Quit thinking that patients are feeding you a line. Not every patient coming to your office is looking for a prescription or a quick fix, but they want answers. They want to know why the person next to me is 40 years old, but can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym. But at 5 o'clock in the morning, I feel like I've been hit by a freight train. I am that exhausted. That's what people need to know. When they come to the doctor and they tell you something is not right, then admit where your limitation is and refer them to someone who may not be limited to help them. But don't dismiss them. At first, when I thought about this show, I thought this show was going to be an extension of the Black Lives Matter systematic racism discussion. But I find just in my daily living that this is an issue that connects all of us. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what your social economic status is. Healthcare and being treated fairly is an issue that should connect us all across the board. Because believe it or not, there are people who have millions of dollars and still check out of here before anybody else because they had doctors who did not care. Michael Jackson was an example. You can't tell me all of these recent deaths of hip hop artists is all by chance. And I'm sure they had access to better doctors than I do. But when you live a fast-paced lifestyle, it comes with some consequences. And I'm not bashing anyone's profession. I'm not saying that anyone is should live a certain way. I'm just saying that who's on your team with you matters. Who's caring for you matters. So I left UT Southwestern and I went back to the endocrinologist that I used to see in Irving. And when I say this lady, she says, okay, yeah, I know the doctor you worked with. And she was like, okay. And so she started listening to me. And that was important to me. She started treating me with respect. She didn't have anything to gain from it. As a matter of fact, this lady has such a great reputation. She actually retired. But because there were not good endocrinologists, she came back. She came back right when I needed to find someone. I think that speaks to her character in ways that I can't even begin to explain. So we were watching the nodules and I was still trying to figure everything out. I'm taking energy supplements. I'm, trying to figure out why I have an extra heartbeat or why my heart rate will drop or why I could sit here, my fingers and my toes would get cold, trying to figure out how do I stop all these minor things that were going on in my body just so I could be normal and get back to a balanced place. And I wasn't able to figure it out. According to my blood work, I was okay. I even went to a hemoglobin specialist to look at my blood work and she couldn't find anything, but my iron levels were off. So we added extra iron to my diet, but it didn't fix anything. So fast forward to this year, my doctor says, Valerie, the best treatment option is to have the thyroid. Let's go ahead and take it out. So I made that decision to do it. I don't know if I subconsciously knew, but I knew that, okay, no more dancing around it. And that would end up being the best decision for me. When we come back from our break, we'll talk about my journey since that decision.
What up, y'all? It's Michael Sean from Michael Sean and the Takeover Legends. And just in case you missed the show, check this out. Rodney Perry. A man cheats on his wife. She cheats back. She gets pregnant. Who broke the family? Nice hat. Yo, your hat game is vicious. I wish my hat, it don't look right on me when I wear hats. But go ahead. Who broke the family?
She did. Sonny hates that. Look at Sonny.
That's what I love.
I agree.
See, when you a grown ass man, you ain't got to get into the whole explanation. He's like, she did.
You want an explanation? I give you an explanation.
Give me an explanation, Rodney. Give me an explanation.
The short answer is she did, and I know women out there. Well, how come she can't? Well, I know it. I just say, how come? If you let somebody skeet all up in our house, it's your fault.
Not the skeet. Not the skeet.
Tell all the girls
shoot up the club.
You can't let nobody shoot the club up.
But he could have did the same thing, and the woman just didn't get pregnant. How we know he ain't? How we know he ain't raw dogging? How you know that?
First of all, Miss Scott, okay?
Miss Scott.
What we're not gonna do is try to make this into something else. Now, is he wrong? Yes, but the family can be put back together as long as it ain't no kids. When the male ego is fragile,
very,
very fragile. So I don't care. Guys do this all the time. Women cheat, and then they so it don't even have to be a kid for it to be over. But absolutely. A kid make it even worse. Like a woman will accept your outside child, but I don't know 0 guys is going to accept an outside child from his wife.
Well,
it's wrong, Miss Scott. It's wrong. I know.
It's wrong. It's wrong. That's what I've been trying to say. It's wrong.
It ain't fair.
Not fair.
I'm sorry, Miss Scott. That's like, you know what? I'm gonna take one for the team. It's wrong.
Michael Sean and the Takeover Legends. Your escape from reality. Right here on Free Agent Radio. Free Agent Radio.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that break. Shawnee, pull up the People magazine article that I sent you. So remember when I said a few moments ago that we're actually more connected on the healthcare issue. And this article here that I've came across today, a woman 27 years old, body shamed by her doctor who dismissed her pain and later diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. When I say, first of all, receiving a cancer diagnosis within itself is heart-stopping, to know that this young lady was telling her doctors that she wasn't feeling good, that something wasn't right. But see, where I wonder, did this young lady ever think to get her files, pick them up, and go to another doctor? A few months ago, I was in the OBGYN office and I saw a lady fully pregnant, and she was coming to see my OBGYN. Because I'm telling you, if you are with the wrong people, if you are paying into the wrong doctors, they will jack you up and walk on and go to sleep at night like a serial killer in Maine. You better learn how to speak up and get out of places that are where you are not being treated fairly or heard. So this young lady said, I'm here to see Dr. Alexis and I'm transferring because my previous doctor wasn't treating her right. I wanted to stand up and give her a standing ovation because that is how adamant we have to be with knowing ourselves, being in tune with our star player, and knowing our bodies. Because like I said, the ultimate self-care is taking care of yourself. So when I left UT Southwestern, came back to my doctor in Irving, Texas with Baylor, Scott and White, we tried to track it, tried to get, a stable results with medication, didn't work, had the surgery. And we think we're just dealing with just removing the left lobe. But we find out a week after I had my surgery that there was an actual cancer there, a hidden cancer. Now, when my doctor called me, I was like, what? How did I get here? I'm like, I know he didn't say that to me. And he's going on and on and on and on and on. And Shawnee, play the Chris Rock clip. I basically had that moment from Head of State where Chris Rock was like, you've had all this time to talk. Now you talk. Now you let me talk.
Now's my turn. I'm going to get mine. I'm getting mine.
I didn't care if I didn't have every question that I needed answer right then, but he wasn't going to call me, blow up my spot, and then decide to move on and tell me next step. Because see, the surgeon that we went with for the surgery to remove my thyroid, I have worked with him before. He performed one of my biopsies. So in 4 years, I want to say 3, but it's more than likely 4 years. I had 3 biopsies, 4 sonos, 1 scan, and the thyroid scan and uptake. And all of them came back negative. All of the nodules were just nodules. Nothing looked suspicious, but yet when you take it out, all of a sudden, you said that it was cancer? Bull crap. Because in my mind, I started thinking about the cost of healthcare and what medication would cost. Shawnee, play the clip. Because when you think of a medical condition, you have to really consider what is going to be that financial impact.
When it comes to creating a drug policy that makes crack and heroin cheaper than asthma and AIDS medicine, yes, I'm an amateur, but there's nothing wrong with being an amateur.
Because let me tell you, when I was in grad school and we were working on our paper for our ethics class, we studied healthcare system in America. Do you not know that one good illness, it doesn't have to be a terminal illness, it can just be a limited time illness, but one good illness could bankrupt a family in America. There are people who had it all figured out, had their golden plan, but one good illness tore the family apart and left them bankrupt and financially ruined. Because you really have to think about that. So when I know that I have done the steps, did the screenings, participated in all the things that I needed to do to make sure I was okay and to get the cancer diagnosis, you were not going to steamroll past me. It was not going to be a walk in the park because I had some questions and I wanted answers. And I know that they're not going to know everything. They're not going to have an answer for every question, but I know they could answer majority of my questions. So when he said, do you want to take a day to think about what you just learned and call me back? I said, I surely do. And so I took the rest of that afternoon. I cried. I told family members. And I just sat there. And then I thought about it. Because I always believe in any circumstances, God gives us 2 choices. You can decide if you're going to accept what's being given to you, or you're going to stand up and fight. And what did I decide to do? I decided to fight. I may not have on the boxing gloves like Tyson or Floyd Mayweather, but let me tell you something. When you fight for your life, when you fight back against the system that's automatically designed to put you at a disadvantage, trust me, you're fighting a heavyweight like you have never seen before. And tonight, that is where I'm going to end. But I do hope you come back next week so we can get into this conversation and we can talk about what was my next step. What are my treatment options? And what you should do when you find yourself in a situation similar to mine. Because it's not easy to talk to friends and family. And sometimes friends and family are going to give you unsolicited advice that you really don't want to hear. But you need a place where you can discuss your issues, ask your questions, not feel judged, not feel ashamed, that you need someone to cry or just sit there. And that's what I hope Beyond Today for Tomorrow will be. I hope we create a community where we can be each other's support, because there's more to discuss than simply my issue today. Because I am learning hands-on experience like the rest of us, that our true wealth is our health. And if we're going to live beyond today, we have to prepare for tomorrow. I've enjoyed you guys. See you next week.
Hey, yo, it's going to be a hot summer because we back at it, man. It all goes down June 17th, the Arlington Improv, hosted by me, Michael Sean. Who the else you thought was going to host it? It's my show, man, and starring Rudy Rush, CJ Starr, your TikTok celebrity, my girl Lustrous Barbie, and the comedian Q, who just got married. Congratulations, homie. Now get your tickets, 817-635-5555, or hit up improvtx.com.